الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا ميثاق بني إسرائيل لا تعبدون إلا الله وبالوالدين إحسانا وذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وقولوا للناس حسنا وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة ثم توليتم إلا قليلا منكم وأنتم معرضون صدق الله العظيم. Regarding ayat number 83 of Surat Al-Baqarah, these are the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, commandments and prohibitions. We call them laws, ahkam. The ahkam of this deen, the laws of this religion, they are divided into two categories. We have awamir, we have nawahi. You have commandments and you have prohibitions. It is equally important to establish both in a person's life. That whatever we are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should bring into our life. And whatever we are prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from involving in or from committing or from doing, then we should stay away and we should avoid that as best as we can, with the best of our ability. These are the rules that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place. The first of these ahkam, these laws, which is in a system throughout the Quran, you will find whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran He mentions the ahkam, laws and regulations, and they come in sequential order, especially if they're in one ayah or in multiple ayat, and they're bundled together. Generally, the general system is that you'll find the most important of these ahkam, the most important law in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that a person should not involve in any kind of shirk. They should not associate any partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They should not worship anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they should not call out to anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The aspect of Tawheed, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is one and unique. This is the most important hukum of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyone who involves in shirk, indulges in shirk, anyone that associates partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of how many good deeds that person may do or perform, none of those good deeds will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only that, shirk is such a sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will not forgive shirk. Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, he told the Bani Israel that do not involve or indulge in shirk, because if you do so, إِنَّهُ مَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةَ وَمَأْوَاهُ النَّارِ. That whosoever involves in shirk, indulges in shirk, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make on this mushrik, this person, the fire of Jahannam will be the abode of this person. And as far as paradise is concerned, so it will become haram for this person. This person will not be admitted into paradise in any way. Shirk is one of those sins that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the ayat of the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never forgive shirk, but He will forgive any other sin that He wants. So this is such a major sin that if you associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or anyone who does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is such a sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will never forgive that sin. Regardless of what that person may do as far as good deeds are concerned, no matter how righteous that person may seem on the outside, just the fact that they're involved in shirk, it means that all of their a'mal are useless. They're made fruitless. Habitat a'malu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses these terms in the Quran, that all of their deeds and actions are made useless, made completely fruitless. This being a reality related to shirk, associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes someone may ask, well, what if the person gave a lot of charity, or he was very kind at heart, or he helped a lot of people, or he benefited humanity, then how can this be? Even within our societies, in this world, you have governments. And these governments, they govern a specific amount as far as their territory goes. They have boundaries, they have their states, they have their countries. And these governments, often at times those that are citizens of this government, the government promises them benefits. Regardless if we agree with those benefits or not. Some of those benefits may be based on justice. There are other governments in the world where they do not base it on justice, but they do give benefits to their citizens. And their citizens enjoy some level of security to some degree, some level of peace to some degree, so long as they're in obedience to their government, so long as they are loyal to their government. They are citizens of their government. They're considered citizens of their government. You have one group, they, and then you have various categories in this governmental system. You have those that are citizens and they're involved in government. So not only are they lawful citizens of that government, but they also have many other perks and benefits that come along with being governmental officials or government officials. They're sent as ambassadors somewhere, so you have the government takes care of everything, there's a whole protocol. So much so that anyone as much as harmed that ambassador, action can be taken against that group or those people. Someone even says something harmful or threatens the ambassador, you can almost trigger a war. Why? Because that ambassador is representing the government and that government has to show its power. You have others that are citizens, but they're also ready to lay down their lives for the government. The soldiers and the army, how many benefits they have, along with where they sleep or what they eat or even medicinal, what medicine they have. The government takes care of everything, especially if they're deployed. Then it's a whole different system. They may not get paid very well, but that doesn't matter based on what other benefits they get. Coming to the average citizen, the person who's a law-abiding citizen, day-to-day life, they try their best not to break the laws. They live within the limits that the government has set out for them. So they also have some benefits. At the end of the day, it's not as much as a soldier or as much as a government official, but they do enjoy some level of benefits. The vast majority of the citizens also pay taxes, they live a comfortable life. So these are the various types of categories of those that are accepted or that accept their government. Then there are those who are not necessarily the citizens, but they're there in a legal way. They live there, they have proper documentation. So they are allowed to live there to some time. They don't have, they have paperwork allowing them to live for X number of years or to live for a particular amount of time. They're given visas or green cards or whatever other system there is. allowing them to have certain perks, certain benefits. They're not allowed to do everything. Some of those also have restrictions on them. If they're students, so they cannot get involved in businesses or do other things outside of their limitations on their visa, etc. And there's a very, very lengthy system. Why? Because they're not citizens, so they cannot enjoy the full benefit that a citizen can enjoy. The reason I'm mentioning all of this is, if you come to the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this whole universe is His kingdom. Only His authority is allowed. No one else has any kind of authority in this universe. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to some degree within our human world some governmental system. But at the end of the day, everything is within the control of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is His universe, this is His kingdom. There are those that are specially chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Anbiya alayhimus salam, the prophets and messengers, they share a very, very high status as far as their connection and relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are like those government officials. Anyone that has waged a war on a prophet or a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indirectly has waged war on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we've seen what happened to those aqwam. The Quran speaks about those nations that were wiped out and obliterated for opposing the Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was sent to them. That's one category. Then you have the second category, those that are ready to lay down their lives for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the believers and the righteous awliyaullah. The friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, starting with the highest level, the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. Those that were the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And then you take the category that is very similar to that, the Sahaba of the other Anbiya alayhimus salam as well, the companions of the other prophets. Then you also take from the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, you come to this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have the tabi'een. These are the students of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. You have the tabi'een, those that were the students of the tabi'een. Then you have the jamhur ulama, those that are the scholars that preserve this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The minimum requirement is that a person has to have ilm of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they're put into that category of those who also enjoy many, many benefits because of their connection and relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the level of their ilm, they're able to understand that if it is required where they need to lay down their life and sacrifice their life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so you'll find that the vast majority are ready to do this. Because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them many, many benefits. Their ad'iyah are accepted. Many a times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts barakah in their lives. Anyone that becomes into contact with them or connection with them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives those people barakah in their life. Their sakina, kind of tranquility prevails whenever they're in there. Anyone that meets them or be in their company. So these are some of the benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives in this dunya. Coming to the akhirah is far beyond. That is the third category of those like the soldiers of a government. Then you come to the average citizen, you come to the average Muslim, the righteous Muslim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us into the category of at least the righteous Muslim. The citizen. If we don't get into the category of the awliya and the ulama and the mashayikh and the kabir. I remember there was a time but the kabir ulama, those that were very, very elderly, they used to say that we saw ulama. It's so unfortunate we live in a time where we cannot show you those kind of ulama. We don't know what level we're in. At least we can pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts us into the company of His righteous servants, the khadimeen of the Quran, those that serve the Quran, those that serve the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on. But if we cannot make it to that category, then the least we can do is be a law-abiding citizen, which is like the example of a Muslim who, to the best of his or her ability, stays away from haram and tries their best to involve and indulge in halal and be involved in what is halal. And they don't give up on their knowledge of halal and haram. That's the least. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has told us that this minimum amount of knowing what is halal and haram, this much ilm is fard on every Muslim and Muslimah. Okay? There's a minimum amount. At least we should know in our life what is required of us, what is demanded of us, and we should live our lives according to the law-abiding citizen. There is a group that can fall into the fourth category, That is those people who are given a visa or a green card. They are legal citizens, but they do not have all of the freedoms that a believer may have. There's a group known as the munafiqeen or the hypocrites. There are various levels amongst them. You take the minimum level, there are those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They claim that they believe, they, at least in the apparent level, on the open level, they accept Islam. But deep down inside in their hearts there is a disease. They have the disease of nifaq or hypocrisy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us from this disease, a terrible disease. And because of that disease, in reality they have a two-faced system. Their loyalty is somewhere else, though they're claiming to be Muslim. For them, it is up to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if He will forgive them and admit them into paradise. Or there may be some that because of their sins and because of their actions, they may even be punished in this world or in the hereafter. It is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to decide. We as believers and as Muslims and even as regular human beings, we do not know who is munafiq. Yes, there may be someone who may display acts that seem like the actions of a munafiq, but we don't know. Nifaq is a condition of the heart. Hypocrisy, in reality, is a condition of the heart. And it has two types. One is the a'mal of a munafiq, the actions of a munafiq. And the other is the real munafiq. These are two categories you should be very, very clear about. Somebody just displaying the acts of a munafiq does not necessarily mean this person is a munafiq. This is where that saying comes from, that don't judge a book by its cover. You don't know. Okay? The general qualities mentioned in the Quran is that the munafiqeen, they do not pray salah. And even if they pray salah, وَإِذَا قَامُوا إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ قَامُوا كُسَالَى يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. They do not pray salah, but whenever they do pray salah, they pray in a very lazy way. يُرَاءُونَ النَّاسِ. They're just there to show to the people that, yeah, we do pray. وَلَا يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. They don't remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except very little. So some of the apparent qualities, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam also told us that there are qualities that are munafiq. There are three qualities that someone has. All three of them, so he's a real munafiq. إِذَا أَتُمِنَ خَانٍ. When he's trusted, so he betrays the trust. إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبْ. Whenever he speaks, he lies. Every time he opens his mouth, nothing but lies. And whenever he gets into وَإِذَا غَدَرَ فَجَرَ. Whenever he gets in a dispute, he doesn't control his anger. He goes beyond the limits. He harms people. Okay, so whoever has all three of these qualities, so there's almost like a real munafiq. Whoever has one or two of these qualities, so he has the qualities of a munafiq. So these are things we should try our best to get rid of, these kind of qualities. But these again are on the apparent level. We cannot, even somebody has some of these kind of qualities, we don't say he's munafiq. No, he displays some action that may make him a munafiq. We don't know. At the end of the day, this is like the person who is an immigrant to a country, but he's there legally. Okay, he has his paperwork, he has some visa. So there, at the end of the day, it's up to the government to decide to allow this person to even become a citizen. In this country, we give them 5 years. I don't know how long it would take in the aspect of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how long it would take for them to change. But anyhow, every country has its own system in giving time and giving perks. And if they stay in the company of righteous people, so the time may be even shortened, it may remove that. Like in this country, person comes illegally, or he comes legally. He's an immigrant. If he marries a citizen, so from 5 years it's shortened down to 3. I do not in any way encourage anything. Don't take my words the wrong way. I'm just sharing with you that there are ways to bring those 5 years down to 3 years or 2 years or whatever the number is. You can go read the details. But why is this? Because they've come into contact with a citizen. Similarly, even a munafiq, he comes into contact in the suhbah of righteous people, in the company of righteous people, so that nifaq and that hypocrisy will eventually get washed out. In a very short span of time, the person will also become a very righteous person. And it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to judge. We don't know. So this is like the person who is in a country, but he's there legally. There's another category of people who are in a country, but they're there illegally. They're enjoying the security from the country. They have jobs that they have in the country. They're able to make an earning, make a living. They're able to have some kind of life in that country. But one thing is clear, that they're not there legally. They are illegal immigrants. And there's a big debate that goes on about whether they should leave them, deport them, do what to them, put them in prison. Sometimes they're even put through various hardships, and at the end of the day, the government has this excuse that, look, these people are here illegally. We gave them a chance to do it the proper way, they did it the wrong way. They do not accept the sovereignty of our country. We don't know what they could become. They call them all sorts of names, even though they may not necessarily be like that. But one thing is clear is that if they had sense, they should have come to the country legally. Even if they came illegally, there is a chance for them to make it legal. And whatever, we don't know their conditions. I'm just giving you this example that there are people in this dunya, in this world, who are enjoying the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they're doing it illegally. They do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So their example is like the illegal immigrant. If not today, if not tomorrow, eventually a time will come where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will catch them. And if nothing else, on the day of Hisab and Kitab, when they go in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then accountability, when the accounts are open, so everything will be brought out. You know, an illegal immigrant, he gets in front of a judge, what's the first thing the judge does? Okay, deport this person. Even the person says, I was the one that was wrong. The judge is like, yes, but your whole case started off with the fact that you're here illegally. He said, but he hit my car, I didn't hit him. That doesn't matter now. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't go beyond. We're not even going to talk about the case. We talk about who you are first. The judge just addresses the person directly. You have a problem, you're here illegally. So this is how the disbelievers are. Those who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone can claim, well, you see these illegal immigrants, you know, they built the bridges, you know what I'm saying, in this country, the Mexicans, ya subhanallah, okay. All the hard labor, all these bridges and all these buildings, and they did this and did that, and all this hard work, and what can we do, you know? That doesn't matter when the time of justice comes. In front of a judge, the judge doesn't even look at that. So this person has all these merits. The problem is, he has based all these merits on one very big flaw. And that flaw is that he's an illegal immigrant. Plus, they call them aliens, you know, as if they're from another planet. Okay? So, at the end of the day, just this argument alone, the judge can use this as a basis for putting the person in prison indefinitely or deporting the person. Even if that person came to this country at the age of 1 year old with his parents or her parents, they spent 20, 30 years here. They don't even know their back home country, whichever country they came from. They know nothing about that country. But if they stand in front of a judge, he can use that. So, you know, where's your paperwork? Are you here legally or illegally? And if you're here illegally, this is what all this debate is going on. At the end of the day, you apply this to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there are disbelievers. No one argues that, wait, but he is a good person. There are people who stand and say, he's a good person. What does the judge say? People don't understand the very basis of law. You break the biggest law required for a person to be here. You break that law. Now you're demanding rights. That's the most foundational thing any system, any court system can understand. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this system for us that we may also be able to understand the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we're told in the Quran, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. As for every single favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you, so you'll be questioned about it. First thing will be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will check, the accounts will be brought. So you enjoyed eyesight, you enjoyed hearing, you enjoyed health, you enjoyed intellect, you enjoyed all these favors will be named out. And then it will say, okay, while using all of these, did you use these favors legally or illegally? And if the person was a Muslim or a believer, so then finish, case is clear. Okay, you did them legally, you were a citizen, you had every right to enjoy this, and the person will be admitted into paradise by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A disbeliever will be brought. So you enjoyed all these favors. Did you enjoy them legally? The most foundational element was to accept the authority of the government where you were living. The most foundational requirement was that you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did you believe? The person did not believe. They said that you have broken the most foundational element. The person will say, but I did this good and this good. So it doesn't even account to the blessing of just eyesight that you were using. How valuable eyesight is. How valuable hearing is. How valuable intellect is. All of this good you're claiming, it cannot even pay for your intellect, you know. It cannot even pay for your intellect. So you did the most basic wrong. And because of that, now you have to pay. As for the citizens of a country, those who are legal citizens, Going from the top to the bottom, if it's a justice system, note here, if it is a justice system, from top to bottom, everyone has to pay taxes. Even the president, even if he hides it. We're not going to go into that. Okay? But they have to pay taxes. Similarly, every single believer, from top to bottom, has to have very foundational a'mal that they have to perform. 5 times daily salah, the fasting, etc. We know. The fara'id, no one is exempt. No one is exempt. Along with that, there are many, many other actions that citizens can do that can give them points, almost like a credit system. Right? The more they involve in philanthropy and helping people, the more they involve in community service. So this gives them points and they have more status as far as where they are. Similarly, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have the sunan, we have the nawafil, we have all of these good deeds that we can perform. They can get us more and more credit in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as someone who is illegal, so they don't have that. And that is why they are punished, because they're not even paying taxes. They're not even fulfilling the very basic requirements. So I'm giving you this system so that we may be able to understand why shirk is so dangerous. That a person associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or in a sense not even believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what if they did so many good deeds? It doesn't matter. Why? Because they're breaking the very, very foundational requirement for having any of those good deeds accepted. This is the system of government, and this is the system of Islam 101. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وادخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله.